So hello and welcome back. Generic is back and he is all set to go and honor the elders of the Eastern Kingdoms. Now, we do have a few drawbacks with this. Generic is still only level 20 because he has only been leveled through holidays. And so he has no flying, which actually turns out to be a real problem. My original plan was to have him honor not only all of the elders of the Eastern Kingdoms, but also to honor all of the elders of the dungeons of the Eastern Kingdoms, which at level 20 turned out to be a little bit harder than I thought. So I think I only managed to honor one dungeon elder, which you will see, and it cost him his life several times. It's a good thing that WoW's death is not permanent. But the first elder, if you are Alliance, is very easy. He is right outside the gates of Stormwind, and the second elder is not far away, so it seemed to be going extremely well at first. We galloped on our way from the gates of Stormwind, and where we actually honored our very first elder, and now we are headed off to the wonderful Goldshire to go and honor the next elder, which is found not too far outside of Goldshire, just behind the blacksmith. If you are on the Horde looking for it, it should not spawn a guard as you come and honor the elder that is right here. The Lunar Festival it's a really wonderful holiday that I don't think I ever really spent too much time thinking about. I mean, it's all about honoring those who came before, but in my mind, it's always kind of just been all about leveling up and getting toys and things, and maybe we should stop thinking of it that way. So I actually went to Wowhead and Wowipedia and did a whole lot of Google fooing. And it turns out that the Lunar Festival is when the people of Azeroth celebrate the triumph when an alliance of good races, let's put that in some heavy quotation marks, of the Night Elves, Tauren, Furbolgs, and Earthen defeated the Burning Legion. It's a time of remembrance for the valor and the wisdom of that age, and these days it's mostly held by the Druids of Nighthaven, and both the Horde and the Alliance are welcome to come and shoot fireworks. Oh, by the way, the next elder is on the top of the tower at Sentinel Hill. This one might be a little bit trickier for Horde guards. And now we are going to go galloping through Duskwood. Don't worry, there are no elders here, but we've got to head all the way down to Booty Bay. But anyway, so the Lunar Festival, held by Druids, and both the Horde and Alliance are more than welcome to come and celebrate, shoot fireworks, and ancient heroes of the past also appear throughout the land, and that's who we're honoring now. They're offering gifts to those who find and honor them. This next one that we're honoring is on the top, just to one side of the Horde flight path of the hotel at the Booty Bay. So if you're Alliance, you can just go up and exit over here, go past the Horde flight point, and there is your elder standing on top of the bank. Great spot for him, by the way. Alright, a little bit more history. So, evidently, there was a maybe wild god, I'm not sure, named Omen, but he is still in Lake Elunara in Moonglade. He's been driven insane by the Burning Legion, and he still possesses Elun's blessing, and so he's immortal. During the Lunar Festival, he stirs, and we have to defeat him once again. So that's, at least according to Wowipedia, kind of the stuff that goes on behind the Lunar Festival. Maybe a little bit more of the deeper meaning. You know, we're honoring these ancients who come back to give us their blessing, their fireworks, and their cool little moonbeams. Alright, I was wrong. I did manage to get 2 dungeon elders, and that is because Elder Starsglade is standing right outside of Zul'Gurub, so you don't actually have to go in to get him. A lot of the other dungeon elders are fairly deep inside the dungeons. Oh, and we just hit level 21. Still can't fly. This turns out to be very important later on. So back we go through Duskwood, through the incredibly used to be much scarier pass coming up. You know, I remember when Deadwind Pass used to be probably the scariest thing you could do. Anyway, and now we are gonna head all the way down. I can't remember, looking at the video, I cannot remember if I decided to do the Blasted Lands first or second. Oh, looks like I decided to do it first. Now, when you are honoring the elders in the Blasted Lands, be sure to stop and make sure that you are in the past, because if you are in the Draenor timeline, then this elder will not show up. But if you're in the correct timeline, all you need to do is head on down to the Dark Portal, and you will find our next elder hanging out here at the Dark Portal. More than happy to bow to you, you bow to him, and on we go. Thank you, Elder Bellow Rage. So, this next elder, I was very stubborn, and I'm gonna get that coin. It took a lot of dying, but this next elder, if you're looking for him, is actually a fairly easy one to get to if the dungeon doesn't kill you first. I also was planning on just dying my way to them, but I didn't realize that you respawn back at the start of the dungeon, which kind of put a damper on that idea. So it took me several different tries and several times of dying, but I finally did make it to the Elder. It took a little while. It was kind of embarrassing, but you know what? I don't have much pride, so you guys can just watch me die a couple times. But I did make it to that Elder, darn it. Because at that point, I was mad and I was gonna make it. So this first time I thought maybe I could just sneak by all these guys, but no, they aggro. And I did remember that I had a divine shield, and I popped it on and thought that I was gonna actually be able to make it, but not quite. I was really close, so I tried again. Probably should have waited for my divine shield to actually be able to be up again. Oh, it was up that time. It was the first time I forgot I had it. So there we go. I was going. I did forget that I have a divine steed as well, which is finally what got me to the Elder, was remembering that I have a divine steed that can get me to that Elder. But this was also what dissuaded me from maybe doing all the Elders of the Dungeons, because a lot of them are much deeper into the dungeon than this particular Elder is. Alright, here we go. Run! Does he make it this time? I cannot actually remember how many times it took me to get to this Elder, but I finally did it. Looks like 5th time might have been the charm. I keep dying, and I'm so close. It was very frustrating. I'm not going to tell you how many bad words I might have been saying, but it might have been a lot of bad words at this point. But that's okay. We did it. We made it. We got the Elder, maybe 6 times? maybe 6 times. But anyway, he is right just outside of the entrance. You just have to make it past 2 packs of enemies. So there we go. I did make it to that one, but that was where I decided maybe I'm not going to do the Elders of the Dungeons. At least not with poor Generic this year. Maybe a couple more holidays might get him up to a high enough level where everything in the dungeon doesn't just completely destroy him. So yeah, and now it is time to head down. I decided at this point also that it was going to be so many hours of running through zones, and thanks to the candy buckets, which is where Generic first got most of his levels, I actually have a lot of flight points. So our next one, I flew in, and our next Elder is right over here, right on top of this rock, and that is Elder Rumble Rock. He is up there on top of Dreadmaul Rock, and there is actually another Elder in this zone, and he is over there right outside of the Flame Crest flight point, which is great for Horde, not so great for Alliance, but still not too hard. At least it doesn't spawn a Horde guard. Just lots and lots of dumb little enemies. But you know what? That's okay. We can deal with a few little enemies anyway. So again, I decided that flight points are my bestest best friend, even though I did decide also that since technically the Twilight Highlands is a part of the Eastern Kingdoms, I should definitely go and do those Elders as well. And that was one where I didn't actually have all the flight points. But that's okay. We are flying on into the Burning Steppes. And we are going to go all the way over here to Blackchar Cave, which is over just outside of Blackrock Mountain. It's a tiny little cave, and there's not much there except the Elder, who is standing there waiting for you with a coin of ancestry and a nice little gift package, which thankfully also comes with some nice EXP. Then we're going to go on over into the Cauldron, past Pyrox Flats, and into Ironforge, where we can take a deep sigh of relief and do a couple more easy Elders, at least for the Alliance. I have no idea how Hordes can even get in here and get to this Elder, because this Elder is deep in the Mystic Ward of Ironforge, and I could see him being a very, very difficult one for the Horde to get to, although not impossible. I've seen Horde in the Forlorn Cavern fishing before, so it's definitely possible. But there we go. There is where our Elder is in Ironforge. Thank you, Elder Bronzebeard. Very fitting Elder for Ironforge as well. The next Elder is over in Keranos, so you just exit Ironforge, and this one, if your Horde, shouldn't be too hard since he is right outside the inn, but not really close enough in to maybe cause too much issues. So from there, we are going to gallop our way over to Loch Madan and go visit the Elder there. That one was a little bit harder, but that's okay. So just outside of Theslamar is Elder Silvervein. If you're Alliance, it's probably easier just to take the flight point since he's just a little ways away from the flight point, but I decided I had taken enough flights and was going to be taking more flights soon, so I decided to just run. But just past the flight point, just outside of town, we have Elder Silvervein, who wouldn't turn and look at me, which made me a little bit sad, but that's okay. You know, he's watching Theslamar, making sure that everything down there is going according to plan. So technically the next elder that I should have done would probably be in the hinterlands. But like I said, I decided that I wanted to go to the two elders that are over in the Twilight Highlands. The first one, oh, and if you don't know how to get into the Twilight Highlands without flight, just go in here to the wetlands, and there is actually a gate that leads you pretty much up to Grim Batol. It used to be locked, but with the Cataclysm, this area kind of sort of unlocked and made everything that much easier. I had actually forgotten about that until I was doing a challenge about a year ago, I think it was, where I was trying to level up a character without ever killing anything, and this was a great way to get into some higher level herbs and ore, which is pretty much how I leveled her. And exploring. Exploring is always a good way to level up if you want to level a pacifist character. But anyway, we're going to go up. One of the elders in this area is here in the Dunwalled Ruins. He is not too hard to find, but he is right over here. I will show you on the map. He is right down there in the Dunwalled Ruins, and the other one is a little bit harder to find and manages to spawn right next to an enemy up here in Thundermar. If you're Alliance, there's a flight point not too far away, but he actually spawns in the ruins of Thundermar and not in the town itself, which makes sense because that makes it a little bit easier for the Horde to get to him. But there we go. Those are our two elders that are in the Twilight Highlands, and now we can go back to elders of Eastern Kingdoms. So we're going to jump on a little flight and head on up to the hinterlands. That kind of lets me at least skip all of the Arathi and all of that other. So if you land here in the hinterlands, our next elder is actually Elder High Peak, and he is just outside of the Creeping Ruin, up on top of a hill. I did a few loop-de-loops looking for him, but I finally found him. I know that this would be a much easier thing with add-ons. I think there's a Candy Bucket add-on that guides you to it, and just the TomTom add-on. I don't actually have either of those. I do all of this between Google and my own memory. The next elder is very, very easy, and that is Elder Snowcrown. He is up here just inside of... drawing a blank. Oh my gosh. Alright, but I hit level 22 there. Why can I not remember where I was standing? I think it's brain damage. We're just going to go with brain damage. But right up here in the Eastern Kingdoms, don't mind me, I'm fine. Lights Hope Chapel. And from Lights Hope Chapel, we are going to go over to Crown Guard Tower. And this guy is not actually on top of the tower, but it doesn't really matter since this is a neutral flight point. He is actually just inside the tower. It fooled me because every time I do this, I think that he would be up on top of the tower, but he's not. And I think he might be... no, he's our second, maybe, Night Elf elder that we have found. And that is pretty much the last of the easy ones to get. We don't have too many more elders to go over here, and the one that broke my heart is actually coming up here very soon. There's one elder in the Western Plaguelands that is the one that broke my heart and prevented me from actually getting the achievement because I can't fly to get him, and that just made me very sad. But before we got to that elder, the next elder is actually at the back of the Weeping Cave. And that is an area, if you do questing in this area, there are quests that will send you back here, but it's one of those kind of tucked out of the way areas, full of slimes and all sorts of corrupted things. But there at the back of the cave, there happens to be an elder who is just waiting for you to say hello. Now, don't do like me and run into the walls. I'm pretty good at that. I probably should just stop and fight all these things, but somehow in my mind, it kind of got too stuck in my mind that Generic should only be doing holiday content, and he shouldn't actually be getting any experience for fighting and killing things. This is where I also realized that I had to turn back around and go back to the Western Plaguelands, because there is an elder that is counted as Eastern Kingdoms who is standing on the top of the castle in Sholomance, and I couldn't get to them because you can't fly up there. At least Generic can't fly, because Generic doesn't have flying. So this is the elder who broke my heart, and I am very, 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 very mad at Elder Moonstrike, who is standing right up on top of the castle. Maybe a rogue would be able to get up there without flying, but I could not think of any way to get Generic up there. If you know of a way to get Generic up on top of that tower, let me know, because I drew a blank and I gave up, and now I'm sad. I was hoping to at least get the achievement for it, but alas, it did not work. So we have 2 more elders that I was able to get, and that is Elder Graveborn in Brill and Elder Obsidian in the Sepulchre. These do spawn horde guards. Evidently, the guards, even though we're all friends now, the guards are definitely not my friend. But that's okay. These guys killed me, the ones at the Sepulchre didn't, which made me kind of happy. So I was also going to go and get the one in Undercity, but I chickened out. I stood there in front of the gates for a while, and I think I would have been able to do it, but I chickened out. And I said, you know what? I've had a day. Generic is tired, I'm tired, and we still have to go get attacked by guards at the Sepulchre. So that was going to be our very final guard, and then we were just going to hearth back to Stormwind, shoot off some fireworks, and call it a day. So that's pretty much what we did. So in we go, running past the guards, up here to the Sepulchre, where the elder is standing in the graveyard, spawning guards left and right. This is a fun thing to do, but it's really, really hard if you don't have flying. I don't regret it, and I will probably torture poor Generic a little bit more and see how many of the Kalimdor elders I can get to, but yeah, without flight, this is a very hard challenge. So leave me a thumbs up if you don't mind. At least I persevered. I did as good as I could. We're gonna shoot off some fireworks, dance a little bit, and I'm going to tell you thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you enjoy the adventures of Generic. I enjoy torturing this poor character. And I guess I will see you guys next time. Thank you so much, and have an awesome day.